Alright, hello everybody. Sorry for the disembodied voice, but my camera doesn't allow me to switch it in the middle of a stream. So I'm just going to film this video. Apologize that I can't go live, but Facebook has changed their policy, and until you have 100 followers, you cannot go live anymore. So I had no idea that this was coming. If you have any friends that haven't liked and followed us, please, please, please ask them to like and follow Desert Cat Creations. I need about 21 more followers so I can continue to go live and share my projects with you. But just a quick reminder what we were supposed to make this week. This is our week 24 design reveal. We were to make a friendship bracelet using tan, using black, using lava stone, and design something inspired by saltwater taffy. So to me, saltwater taffy, has a bunch of like pastel colors mixed in, although I do love the licorice taffy, so those are always enjoyable. So today we're going to make that bracelet, or I'm going to make the bracelet for you. Just want to show you a couple of quick examples of bracelets, and hopefully I'm staying on the page, because I also, since I'm recording this the way I'm recording it, I cannot see my screen. So here's one example. These friendship bracelets that are very popular now with the Taylor Swift crowd. I made this one. It does meet all my criteria. I have black coated lava beads, so that fills my lava and my black. I also have some other lava beads in here. These gray and blue ones, as well as the Heishi beads, are from our special beachy bead mix that comes with the new deck of cards. So hopefully you like those. And I threw in one tannish bead just to fill that requirement. But anyways, here is a version of a friendship bracelet. I decided beach bum was fun. Here's another version which is very similar to what I'm going to show you today. So this is a button closure on leather using wax linen. So that's what I'm going to show you, how to make something like that. You can actually dress these up. This one has seed beads on the side, as well as some crystal cup chain in the middle, and it's done on 2 strips of leather with a button. This is one of my favorite designs. This is actually designed by Kelly Sutton at Kelly's Bead Boutique. So if you guys are interested, that video is available on YouTube if you just search for Kelly's Bead Boutique. Some of the more traditional friendship bracelets, you use embroidery floss. They're very thin. I made this one. So it's basically 4 strands of embroidery floss. So it's kind of thin, but I was still able to put some beads on it. Certainly wearable. The traditional one, I think you would just tie the ends together, because you're supposed to wear it until it wears out. That's part of the friendship bead thing. But just to show you, we have some different designs, and you can make them out of whatever material makes sense for you. Some people will, I'm not going to put that on, will say that friendship bracelets have to have some knotting in them. The traditional ones do, but I think a lot of people are accepting these other, the word bracelets, as friendship bracelets too. So let's go ahead and get started. For my black, I cut about 18 inches of black leather, and I have a separate piece for later, and I'll show you what I'm doing with that. And then I have a small collection here of beads and a button. So I'm using a sand dollar button. I can't remember if this is a tiara cast button or not. I think it is. But we're going oceany themed. I'm using a tan turtle. So again, I'm getting my tan in there. I have some gray lava stone, which is from our again, from our beachy bead mix. I have a couple metal turtles in here, and a couple additional tan beads. And then you need about two yards or 2 meters, depending on where you're from, of waxed linen. Now I'm choosing to do this in 2 colors, which is like I did on this bracelet here. I'm using pink and white. This is where my ode to the saltwater taffy comes in. So if you're using 2 colors, you need about, you know, one yard or 1 meter of each. And then first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of line up these ends. I don't necessarily have to do this, but this is how I'm choosing to do it. You could just put the leather through the button, but I am going to put all 3 of these strands through the shank on my button. And that's just so that the ends hold. You could just as easily tie a big knot around the leather if you didn't want to do that. And then I'm going to do a barrel knot. I prefer to use my knotting tool here to put a knot right up next to the bottom of my button. So you need enough to go around everything at least twice. So when you're using this tool, you want to go wrap it, but then you wrap back towards the button. Okay, so you do 1. Oh, I'm having troubles. 2, and I didn't start far enough up there. All right. Or far enough down here. All right. Maybe I need a little longer piece there. It should fit around there, no problem. So again, you want to do 1, so you can do this by hand. And you just twist it, you wrap back, and then you're going to tuck the tail back through. Come on. I don't usually do these by hand. I do them with the tool, but I do have I don't want to use up too much of my leather. And I chose to do leather because I like the feel of having something solid underneath my knots. All right, there we go. So I'm going to pull this back through and pull it tighter as I move it back towards the button. This is just a barrel knot. You could tie a simple knot if you wanted to. I like to use barrel knots. And then just, you know, get it as tight as you can. But normally I would also leave a tail long enough to put a knot in there, but I'll just put a little glue on it when we're done. So what I want to do now is take my, I have this macrame board. Hopefully you guys will be able to see that. I've put a little loop on here so that I can put it around the button, and that's just for my ease. You know, I could just as easily like put the button through there, but as you're starting out, you need to be able to go close to where the button is. So this is the mini macrame board by Bead Smith. It's very convenient for doing this. And then what I want to do is put my beads on. And don't worry, you know, we will, so basically just want to make sure these beads go on in the order that you want them. So I think I'm going to do that. And then the lava. I'm using 1.5 millimeter leather. So, you know, make sure that whatever beads you're using. Now comes the question of, do I want my turtle swimming towards the button or away from the button, right? So I think I'm going to have them swing towards, so I want to put the leather in with the head facing there. I'm going to have them all going the same direction since I have an odd number of. The ceramic turtles are also in the Beachy Bead mix. There's a variety of colors, so you may get some other color than tan, but I happen to have a tan one, so it fit with my requirements of my design. So now I have my beads on here. So what I want to do, I'm going to separate out the wax linen from there, but I'm going to go ahead and stick this in this notch down here. So that holds it tight and it makes it easier for me to work around the board. So now I have another decision here. So do I want the beads in the middle of the bracelet, or do I want them spaced throughout it? Or kind of the third option is we can have them all up here, which also means that my button is part of that design, and then the rest of this will just go around the edge. But I think I'll kind of put them in the middle. Now the other nice thing about this is this board has measurements on it. So if I start at 1 inch and I need about a 6.5 inch bracelet before I put in the rest of the loop to go around the button. So if I want this guy in the center, so I actually, because I'm starting at 1, I need to go to 7.5 will be my end. Okay, so normally on a 6.5 we'd be just a little over 3. So in this case it's going to be my center line is right here around 4. You know, it doesn't have to be exact. And then we can space those buttons however we want, but I think I'm going to put most of them, you know, pretty close together. And like I said, we can adjust that. The main thing you need to have in your mind though is where you're going to start, because you need start them in the right place, because once you start wrapping around them you can't move it. So the other thing is, since I'm using 2 colors, let me take this bracelet off a minute and show you what. So since I use 2 colors, the colors, you know, one color will show up on one side and one color will show up on the other side. So you need to kind of decide which one you want as your primary color. So in this case, I want my pink to be my primary color, I think. And then the white will be the edging. So my white has to be the one that always goes underneath. And so for me, I actually need to switch these on sides, and I'll explain in a minute why that is, but I should be able to just pull this one over the top. So I'm going to just wrap those edges in there so that they are more secure. So when you're doing this design is just square knots. Kelly Sutton, who I mentioned that did that other bracelet, she had a clever way of kind of making sure you're going the right direction, and she calls it the P's and Q's, right? So you want to start with P. So the P goes over the top, and then you're going to wrap the other side over that edge and then through the loop, bring it underneath and through the loop on the other side. So again, my white is going to be the color that shows up on the bottom and the edges, but that's my P. Now for the queue, you're basically going the other direction. So you're crossing in the Q portion as opposed to the underneath the P. So again, I'm bringing the white underneath, and I'm gonna, like I said, go around all of my leather, and except for that one edge. I don't want that piece in there, but and then you're just going to continue. Now, like I said, I find it easy to work with this P's and Q's thing. So if I'm going to stop, I need to make sure that I always stop in the same place. So I want to stop after the Q, which is basically a full knot. This is going to get a little, you know, it be a little watching here as we go along. But, you know, if you always stop on the same side of, you know, after completing the full knot, it's a little easier if you, you know, get distracted and have to do something else. You will notice later if you've made a mistake, and it's probably not a big deal. Now, if you continued going through the whole thing and going in the same direction all the time, which is an option, it will twist, which is a design element, and it's one of the common designs to make. I don't really want to do a twisted design on here, so I'm not going to. But so I mean, the other thing with two colors is, if you remember, is always you know, since I started with my pink over here, when it's on that side, it's a P, and when it's on this side, it's the Q. And I'm sorry if I'm doing sloppy, but I hope to show you that. But like I said, it's an easy thing to remember. And every once in a while, you know, make sure you're pulling it fairly tight, because you don't want it too loose around the leather, because then it, you know, just kind of gets saggy. Now, if I was just making a bracelet with leather, if I wasn't using beads in the middle, I would be doubling this leather in here to make it a little thicker. And it's just a style design that I prefer. So the bracelet I showed you with the beads, this one has two pieces of leather back there, so it's a little sturdier. This one has the single piece, so you know, it's a little floppier, but it's fine. I wouldn't, you know, I certainly, if you're using like 1mm leather, you could use 2mm leather if it'll fit through your beads. There's no reason you can't. Or you could even use flat leather. You know, just, you won't be able to get your beads on there strung like I did, but you can certainly, you know, put them on. You can put your beads on your whatever you're using to wrap it. Like I said, I'm using wax linen here. It's what I like to use, but you know, some people use Chinese knotting cord. Some people use other kinds of fiber. You could use thinner leather. It's all whatever works for you for your friendship bracelet. But like I said, this is just the design that I've chosen to go with today. So, and I need to make sure that I get these beads in when at the right time, so that I'm not struggling to include them. And I certainly don't want to go backwards. So, you know, depending on how much space I want between them, I'll go a little bit more before I put that bead through there. So I hope everybody's been having a great day. Really missing that I can't chat with you guys during this time, but we will chat again in the future. Like I said, encourage your friends to like and follow us. I don't know why Facebook made that rule, because it doesn't make any sense. When you're starting up a business, how are you supposed to already have 100 followers if you want to go live on your page? So like I said, I'm flummoxed. Apparently I missed any announcements that they were changing this policy. All right, I think I'll go ahead and put that bead there. So once you're incorporating the beads, what you want to do is you continue with your knotting just like you were doing before. But what you do is you just go around that bead. And then I'm going to put, a couple of knots between each bead, just to space them out a little bit. Sometimes your beading can get a little off, so. All right, and now we'll do that again with the next bead. So again, I'm just going to go around. This could be a really cool design if you just do that design with a lot of like just one color beads. Silver beads is very popular. Makes a very nice design, and it's very simple. So now we're going to go around our turtle. So I just want to so we're still doing the same thing here, but you put the this on the other side of the turtle. Right. So because he's not round, the threads aren't really going to sit around there. So what I do is I just kind of pull them underneath and bring him above the design, and that way it puts the knot back here, right against his tail. So I may do an extra knot here just because part of this knot gets absorbed between his feet. If you get turtles. If you haven't had a chance to, the turtle kits are still available. We are doing a live on the 24th of June on Stars Beads, Bead With Me. And we'll, there's still time to get your kits out to you. I know the kits are starting to arrive at people's places, so I'm very excited to see that things are working. All right, so now I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I know he's a bigger turtle, but we will, and again, I'm going to kind of slide those underneath him and up against his tail, because he doesn't really have a tail, but we're creating him a tail. So. He's getting a knotted tail. So. Right. And again, I'm going to put an extra knot in here. All right, and now certainly with these beads, since they do have a front and a back, you want to make sure the front is going the way you want it to. Let's go under his feet. All right. Get him snuggled up there. Now, you know, I had been doing an extra knot between these guys, but I didn't do one between there, so I'm not going to here. So now we'll go around the gray bead. It does get a little easier as your cords get shorter to pull all this together, and then put my last bead up there. All right, so now my bracelet is at just under 5 inches. So again, I would need to go at least to here. And then I can work on putting the loop for the button on there. So I'm going to try to keep this moving. Hopefully you guys have seen it enough times that you'll... I think I did that right now. All right. Started rushing and then I didn't cross my stuff in the right place. So again, you can make these however long you want. For the demo purposes, I probably should have stopped early or had it ready to go, but on the other hand, I don't, you know, I don't necessarily like to make samples that aren't functional. I like my samples to be finished. But we'll, you know, that's just me, so you have to bear with me a little longer on this video. So I will say in some ways it's easier with the 2-color because now I know that like my pink always has to go over the top, so depending on which side my pink falls on, I know which direction my knot I am doing. So it's something to keep in mind. If you're doing a single color, you'll definitely want to pay attention to what you're doing. And maybe, you know, maybe you can see the pattern a little better than I can sometimes, but all right, we're almost there. So Now, if you had 2 strands of leather, which, you know, you really could do 2 strands of leather and just thread the beads on one of them, but it might be off center a little, and you know, it'd be worth trying. I might have to try that at some point. The reason 2 is nice because it does make it easier to do your loops for your button. But we will make it work. So I want to make sure, you know, I have about 1.5 inches here of 1 inch, so maybe just a couple more. And we'll stop there. Okay, so now to finish this, you can do a couple things. One is just, and I would do it on the back side, you can flip it over and just tie a knot in this real quick. I'm also going to run it through my knot on the leather though. So let's unhook that. So we don't need our macrame board anymore. I can move that out of the way. So we've got our button. We've got our macrame done here. Now I need to put the loop for the button. So because I have a single strand here, now there's a couple options I could do. I can try, you know, I could do a knot and pull that loop through. It takes a little adjusting to do that. I find that hard to do. One of the easier ways, which I'm going to show you right now to do this, is to use a separate piece of leather. And the only bad thing about this is that you will have to, will require some gluing of your knots just so they don't come out. I also like to stick, you know, my strands of the wax linen through there. So that's why I have this separate piece of leather. So again, I'm going to do, and we can adjust that in a minute. So I'm going to do a barrel knot. And ideally, I want my ends facing down. So again, you wrap. Actually, all right. So one end, you're gonna have a short end facing this way. Okay. And then I'm going to wrap the leather around. So I'm wrapping around everything to, doesn't really matter. Okay. So I am having a, you know, we're having a little bit of complications here. So when you're doing, use my tool, that'll help me. So I'm going to wrap this around here. 1, 2, 3. And then I put this leather back through that way. And we'll take this off and we're going to, you know, slide it down here because we want it up next to where everything stopped, right? And I'm going to slowly tighten it. Now I don't want to tighten it too tight yet because I haven't checked my button. So I want to make sure this is big enough for my button. It is, and I can even pull this in just a little bit probably. One thing you can do is hold the button in there while you're adjusting it. Now you don't want it too tight, but you also don't want it to be able to come loose, so you know, you can easily go through there. All right, so now I'm going to tighten this real tight. And my hands are all waxy from this waxed cord. So again, I could put another knot in these wax cords before I cut them, but since it's knotted on there, I'm not going to worry about it. My scissors go. There we go. So I'm going to carefully trim my wax linen off, and we can adjust that later. Now, this is the one end of the knot. That's all it goes to. This is the other end of the knot. I could, just to make this more secure, I usually will put a knot here just so it can't get pulled back through if it starts to come loose. And you could still, make it longer and dangle something off of there if you wanted to. This one's too short to knot. Again, this I don't want to go back. I don't want it to get pulled back through if this loosens up. So I'm going to go ahead and also put a knot here. Now you could use a fancy knot. I'm probably not going to dangle anything from it, so I'm going to just use a simple knot. And then I am going to go ahead and trim that, and trim that. And here, this isn't going anywhere unless the knot comes off. So I may attempt to do something there, but I think I'll glue it. So now what I would do is just put a simple piece of glue through there, but let me try it on, because once I glue it, it's just going to have to sit until the glue dries. So there we go. We've got our friendship bracelet with all our requirements. So for glue, do my, just because I usually don't show glue, I did have my glue out. For leather, I like to use the Super New Glue. You can get this in a lot of places, and you want to use it very sparingly. I keep a pin handy because if sometimes the edge gets clogged, but you just want to put a little drop there. You can also use it on the ends of the waxed linen. Now on this end, I need some right up here next to where the button goes, and then on this end also to make sure those ends don't come out. Like I said, you don't want a whole lot, but this is super glue, and it does dry very fast. Some people will use the gel super glue with leather, and it works fine. I think it takes a little longer to dry, is why some people don't necessarily recommend it. But anyways, here is our finished project. I will photograph that and get it posted along with this video. And we had another fun turtley project for June. So thanks again for joining me for the week 24 design reveal, and I will see you guys all soon, hopefully.